Angela. It's a pleasure to meet you, and glad to speak to you this week at a very busy ad week.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I love, you have such a vast and kind of diverse background. So I'm sure it's been quite a journey kind of navigating all that throughout your career. So, data companies, software companies, how did you find yourself here in this, really impressive role at Citi?
Well, Nate, my ride has not been the most traditional ride to get here as a marketer. I actually started off as a professional figure skating.
Okay.
So figure skater. I started early in my career skating for money, essentially skating in shows. And like a lot of athletes, it didn't last long because of an injury, and I immediately had a pivot, and I ended up going into the agency world. And shortly in that space, I realized I needed something a bit different, and I was more interested in being part of the client experience, like on the front line with different organizations than behind working through the creative. And I saw myself just transferring into the tech world. So through the years, skating, tech, I've also been a handbag manufacturer and designer, and now in banking. There's been one common thread through all of it, and that is I like to monetize the creative. So starting back at skating, I wasn't a great skater, but I was good enough to get paid because I had predictability. I had learned early on how to use math and science to create the formulas needed to create predictability in my tricks. And that transferred into marketing, working at the agency, being able to monetize and figure out how do you actually deliver a product that your client can go to the business and say, this is going to yield a result and show top line growth. And then I've just continued to carry that through. So that has really kind of set the foundation and carried me to where I am today.
Wow, that's great. And I bet too, with how demanding I'm sure figure skating was, with just the consistency around training and kind of perfecting your form and your artwork, that is also kind of translated into your work. But I think that underlying kind of work ethic and that consistency has definitely been helpful in navigating my own career. I'm admittedly a little bit biased to former athletes when when considering candidates.
I am too, because there is that you have to develop a discipline. If you're in an individual sport or a team sport, there is a dependency for having some consistency in how you show up. And a lot of that is the prep before the big game or that moment.
Yeah.
And I feel marketing is a lot like that. We have to.
Such a good point.
We have to have a plan A. We have to have a plan B, and a lot of times we need a plan C too, to be really prepared for where we need to go.
That makes a lot of sense. So I was very fortunate to attend your previous panel on loyalty. It's clearly something that you're very passionate about. You told your own story about your loyalty to another brand outside of Citi. But you really see this as a big differentiator, and probably more so in modern marketing. How do you define it, and why do you deem it so valuable?
Yeah. So I am a big believer that loyalty marketing is not necessarily the new marketing, but needs to be one of your primary marketing initiatives and strategies going forward. Loyalty, when you're loyal to a brand, you have a devotion to that brand. And devotion is really a strong word to use when you're talking about brand and sentiment and overall just how the client shows up with you. But when we look at relationships, how your customer interacts with your brand is a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And consistency, commitment, reliability are what our clients look for in our brand. And those are really critical components to defining what loyalty is. To do loyalty right, you have to think about the long game.
Okay.
And it cannot be something that is just established overnight. You might get a happy customer overnight, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be there tomorrow when you do not show up as they expect you to show up. And when you invest in loyalty for the long game, you can have moments of not being perfect.
Yep.
Because it's a relationship again. And everybody understands that you can't be 100% perfect all the time.
Given that it is something you have to commit to consistently, and there is a longer term commitment to that, how do you measure that? What signals do you get kind of more near term, and then what do you look at to kind of validate you're really moving the needle long term?
Yeah. One of the measurements that is really important to me is customer lifetime value.
Okay.
Citi has been in business over 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
We have clients that are close to 200 years with us. That loyalty is just not many brands out there can say they have that level of loyalty. But understanding not only their value, but also what it costs to acquire that customer is key. Advocacy is a key indicator of loyalty to me, and it's an area where we double down and really understanding what our clients expect from an experience perspective, and then we invest in them through advocacy.
Got it.
And I would say that's the number one thing I'm measuring right now.
Okay, smart. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. We'll go to that subject that's part of every kind of conversation these days. That's AI.
Oh yes.
So it within the lens of marketing, it's definitely having an impact.
Yes.
But how do you see it kind of reshaping the kind of function and the skills marketers need as they kind of navigate these new tools?
So I'm going to be a little controversial here. AI is going to have a huge impact on what we do from a marketing perspective. It's technology that is going to change everything from A to Z marketing. It is going to commoditize parts of our business. It's also going to elevate us and free us up to be more creative. Mm-hmm. So instead of having to do a lot of the manual tasks within marketing, take event planning, for example, where I've got 2 or 3 people having to sit there, manage 400 to 500 meetings on site at a industry event. Now I can have an agentic team actually manage the scheduling and the movement of meetings around, right. And then have a team member just provide oversight and make sure the controls are in place to eliminate any type of duplication or any type of hallucination might happen within that activity. That frees up my team to do more strategic, more deep thought work instead of having to deal with the manual tactics. So it's going to give us a lot more time to scale and to be more productive as an organization. The other thing is that AI is not going to replace everything. It is going to create productivity for us and efficiencies. It's going to make sure that we have less mistakes or errors in routine activities. But it is not going to replace the human element that we need within our marketing.
Great stuff. So looking ahead into the future of marketing, you have AI, we talked about loyalty, and then you also have the marriage of creativity as well. What excites you the most?
Good question. I'm with loyalty. I'm a big believer in advocacy and referenceability of marketing, and that is an area that I double down quite a bit. Like to think of myself as a storyteller. I see movement all around us is all about stories and creating those memorable moments. And marketing to me is just going to get smarter with being able to tell those stories. AI, the technology that we have out there, just allows us to get closer to our clients and really understand what they want and what they need. And we're doing it at hyper speed, faster than we've ever been able to do it before. And I'm really excited about where the technology, where the innovation is today, and what it allows us to do.
I couldn't agree more. All right, so let's have about a little fun. I always love the superpower question.
Okay.
And I'll let you choose which path you want to go down.
Okay.
But if you had to name a marketing superpower, what would it be? Or if you're willing to share what you think your superpower is, what you bring to the table.
Okay, so let me start with the marketing superpower. I believe that marketing is the invisible power in business. If you're doing marketing really well, you're not talking about it. It just shows up. It is part of your culture. It's part of the company's DNA. It's part of everybody's job. Your salespeople, your operations, your customer service, you're all saying the same thing. You're all creating the same experiences. You've got the same mindset. You're all aligned on how you're going to measure and move forward. And it really becomes just embedded into the organization as a whole. And I really believe that marketing, when it's doing its job, it is truly an invisible thing. My superpower is being able to read the data, from what it's telling me today to what it is going to predict in the future. My team jokes all the time that when I say trust me, they just kind of laugh because they don't necessarily know what they're trusting. It's just I have a track record of when I say that if they give it enough time, goodness will happen. And what's behind that is I'm reading the data and then I'm predicting basically what potential paths could happen.
Okay.
And it's working for me. So when they watch this, they might laugh at this moment because they usually roll their eyes. Well,
that's a tremendous asset. So keep riding it. You're doing something right there.
Yeah. Well, until it doesn't work anymore, it's working right now.
So you've had many leadership roles in your marketing career. I'm sure you've experienced this over the years, but if there's one thing constant is there's always change, and we're seeing that accelerate to a lot of facets these days with marketing in particular. That can I think be overwhelming for some. As someone in a leadership position such as yourself, like what advice would you give other marketers and those also going through that journey of leadership in terms of navigating that change today? Good
question. I have built a career off change. I think that's pretty evident of the path. I like a variety in my day-to-day. However, I am a creature of habit. I get up at the same time every morning. Not the most healthy breakfast. I start my day off with a a Coke. That's my caffeine.
I do Diet Coke, so I'm in the same
so,
zone.
So you see, so there, I have some pretty consistent things within my world, but I do like change. And I think great moments for people and organizations are at those moments of where you're going through that change. When you're building muscle, you have to break down the muscle to build it up, and I think that is critical to be able to move through that. Now, going through it alone is really difficult, and I think you always need to have a support system, and you've got to lean into that support as well. You've got to take people on the journey with you, and you've got to identify roles and responsibilities on that journey, so that you've got the right support system in place. You also have to look at failure in a different lens, through a different lens. Transformation, change doesn't happen overnight, and there's usually a series of moments that you have to go through to really see the big change. And not every moment is going to be deemed successful in what you're doing. So you've got to be able to look at it as, this is just, I'm trying to move forward and I'm progressing at a steady rate of pace forward, not necessarily having to make those giant leaps to have each moment be a true success.
Love that. Cool. So as we kind of close it out here, let's have a light, fun kind of rapid fire type of questions. How about what's the first marketing campaign that you were proud of? And that doesn't have to be with your time at Citi. It could be prior life. But what's one that comes to mind that you're proud of?
Well, I've done a lot of marketing campaigns through my journey here. I would say there was a campaign about probably 10 years ago or so, where I was working for a tech company, and the company focused on attribution data.
Okay.
So being able to tell you the different attributes around identity being a person, place, or thing. And we did an ad age campaign, and we essentially took the stick figures on the back of a minivan. The family.
Yep.
You've got the mom, the dad, the two kids, the cat, the dog, maybe even a turtle on the back on the back of the minivan, and we turned them into real characters, and it was called the Wagners. And we built these stories around each of these characters. So, for example, mom was a workout. She worked out all the time. She was a workout fanatic, but she loved Snickers bars because it had some protein in it. And this was all based off the attribution data that we sold to the market.
That's a fun one. I like that. So you mentioned storytelling before. What would you say is like your favorite medium for storytelling?
I would have to say good old-fashioned storytelling.
One-on-one dialogue?
One-on-one dialogue.
Or one-on-many dialogue, I guess.
Generational stories to me are the best. I would say even stories in an organization. When I sit down with, a colleague and some clients, and I hear my colleague tell we've created a sales play style story, and I hear him tell the story by using his own personal examples. To me, that's the best way to hear stories. Yeah. They feel it. It's emotional. I'm old fashioned.
I love that. No, I like that. It's a human experience.
Yeah.
What do you think one thing marketers should stop doing?
Marketers need to really think about the customer. Yeah. Lead with the customer. And I know we talk about that. We embrace it in what we do. But at the end of the day, we're trying to create more awareness, sell more product, and it does come back to us. But if you take the brand out of the equation and really show up for what the customer wants, you usually win on creating the awareness, driving more sales, having a higher level of satisfaction. Going to date myself here, but going back to the 80s, it was the customer was always right. Even when the customer wasn't right, the customer was still always right. And as a customer, you felt it. Like, hey, I might not have done this the right way. I might have forgot my receipt to go return my product because this shirt didn't fit.
Yeah.
They still took it back. Every store took it back because the customer was always right. Yeah. And the brands that embrace that, even through their own process or how they show up in market today, the client feels that, and they have. You'll see more loyalty, you'll see more advocacy because of it.
Yep.
And most of the time, the client will tell you, "I was not right, but they made me feel important."
Yep. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for that. I like that. Okay, well, let's end on another fun one.
Okay.
What's one thing you tell your younger self?
Ooh. So I grew up in a household where I was told that if you dream it, you can make it happen. And I'm a big believer in that. I would tell my younger self to double down on that. No is just another step towards yes. and you might, if we go back to figure skating, I was not Olympic hopeful. Never was Olympics in my cards. But I didn't take no. I found a way to basically have it support me for a period of time. And I believe that you need to lean into that. And if you believe it, you can make it happen.
I love that. So I guess just to close out, I was going to make a comment, but it was probably too personal, so we'll just cut this part out of it.
Okay.
But it was such a great conversation. Thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you once again. And
same here.
Have a great rest of the week.
You too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.